Captain William Grant stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, his eyes fixed on the enormous alien ship that had appeared near Jupiter's orbit. The ship was unlike anything humans had ever built. It seemed to bend light around its silver hull and was at least 3 times the size of Earth's largest spacecraft. "Any response to our messages?" Grant asked, his voice steady despite the tension gripping his chest. Lisa Martinez looked up from her communication station. Her dark hair was pulled into a tight bun, and her fingers moved quickly across the shiny panel in front of her. "They're sending something now, Captain. I think it's a language matrix." Grant nodded. The first contact protocol was clear. Establish communication, demonstrate peaceful intentions, protect the interests of the Earth. He straightened his uniform and watched Martino work to decode the alien transmission. The main screen flashed and filled with symbols that quickly turned into English text. Martinez had done it. The universal translation algorithm was working. "We represent the Galactic Council, a federation of 32 space species." Martinez read it aloud. His species was observed, and he is now eligible for integration. "Prepare to receive our invoice." Grant frowned. "Integration. I come like the sound of it." 6 hours later, 3 alien representatives were in the Intrepid's conference room. The tallest, with blue skin and 4 arms, introduced himself as High Counselor Zixpar. The aliens showed no aggression, but Grant noticed how they looked around the room with what appeared to be surprise or perhaps disappointment. "We would bring the standard integration treaty," said Zixpar, placing a thin metal tablet on the table. "Once signed, Earth will be welcomed as the 33rd member species of the Galactic Council." Martinez studied the translated treatise on his device. She looked up with concern in her eyes. "Captain, this treaty requires Earth to submit to the Council's authority in all interstellar matters. We would have to change our government structure, our military, and even some of our basic freedoms." Grant crossed his arms. "I do not have the authority to sign such a document. This would need approval from Earth's governments." The aliens exchanged looks. The smaller one, with green scales and large yellow eyes, spoke in a hushed tone to Zixpar. "There must be a misunderstanding," said Zixpar. "The treaty is standard, all species signed at first contact." "Not the species," Grant replied firmly. "We'll take your proposal back to Earth for consideration, but I can tell you now. There will be questions and likely requests for changes." The aliens' reaction was strange. They backed away, their posture stiffening. The third alien, who had not yet spoken, made a sound that the translation system was unable to process, something between a gas and a hiss. "This is unexpected," Zixpar said. His forehands shook slightly. "In the Council's 12,000-year history, no species has ever refused initial integration." Grant shrugged. "Well, you haven't met humans before." 3 days later, the Intrepid man returned to Earth carrying copies of the treaty and recordings of the meetings. Grant sat in his quarters, reviewing the encounter. Something wasn't right. The aliens seemed genuinely shocked by Earth's refusal, almost afraid. Meanwhile, across the stars, Zixpar stood before the entire Galactic Council on their capital world, Nexus Prime. Hundreds of representatives from 32 species filled the vast chamber, and everyone fell silent as Zixpar delivered the news. "Humans refused the standard integration treaty," he announced, his voice echoing. "They demand to negotiate." The chamber exploded into chaos. Some representatives shouted questions. The others stood up in alarm. Some began to pray. At the very back of the chamber, junior diplomat Krolteth watched in fascination. His kind joined the council only 50 years ago, and he had never seen the council generally ordered in such disarray. "Why are they so scared?" he whispered to his mentor. The older diplomat's eyes were wide. "Because the prophecy states that one day a species would come that would refuse to bow, and their arrival would either destroy the galaxy or transform it forever." Panic was spreading throughout the council, and humanity had no idea that they had just changed the course of galactic history. Junior diplomat Krolteth had never seen the Grand Council chamber so full. Representatives of all 32 species filled the circular room, their voices creating a storm of noise that the chamber's acoustic design could not fully dampen. The scent of fear hung in the air, detectable even by species with minimal olfactory senses. Krolteth found a spot near the back wall, his height allowing him to see over the heads of many representatives. In the center of the chamber, the 12 high counselors sat in a circle, their faces grim. High Counselor 6 Bar stood up, raising his forearms in silence. The chamber gradually calmed down. Humans have refused our standard treaty, not just the first version, but also the second, the third, and now the fourth, 6 Bar announced. Their diplomat, a man named Eric Collins, continues to request changes. The chamber erupted again. A large armored figure emerged from the military section, General Vruk of the Vargon Empire. His species was known for its warrior culture and direct approach. This is clearly a threat. Vruk growled, his voice cutting through the noise. No species refuses integration unless it plans conquest. We must mobilize immediately. From another section, a slender figure with bright patterns on pale skin stood. This was Eleanor's elder Celia, the oldest species of the council known for their scholarly wisdom. We should not rush to judgment, Celia said softly, but her voice continued. Perhaps humans possess unique intelligence or perception. Your refusal may be born of wisdom and not aggression. A third figure stood up, Merchant Prince Dex of the Trosian Consortium. Your kind controls much of the council's commercial networks. I see opportunity here, Dex said, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. Humans clearly value independence. They will be able to pay handsomely for the technology while remaining outside our political structure. Krilteth watched in fascination. In 50 years as a council member, his people never questioned the wisdom of integration. It was simply what all species did. Why were humans different? Near the center of the chamber, a data specialist presented findings on a large holographic display. Humans are rapidly upgrading their defensive systems. The expert reported that they reverse-engineered several concepts from the technical appendices of our treaties. Its adaptation rate exceeds our models. This news sent new waves of concern through the chamber. Krilteth noticed that even Elder Celia seemed troubled. High Counselor Zixuer raised his arms again. We have new information that is very disturbing. Our preliminary psychic assessments indicate that humans can be resilient. The chamber became completely silent. Krilteth felt a shiver. All council species were susceptible to certain psychic influences. It was what made the council function well, what allowed disputes to be resolved peacefully. If humans were immune, we would draft a 5th treaty, Zixuer announced, with more favorable terms than any is another that we have offered in our history. After the session ended, Krilteth followed his mentor, senior diplomat Morith, down a quiet hallway. Why is everyone so scared? Krilteth asked. Humans did not show aggression. Morith looked around to make sure they were alone. The council was formed 12,000 years ago, after the Great Devastation. The founding species created the integration system to ensure peace. I know this story, said Krilteth. What you don't know, Morith whispered, is that integration includes subtle psychic components that make species greater. Compatible. It's for that, and a greater good. But if humans are naturally resilient and know it, Krilteth's eyes widen. They would never trust us again. Worse, said Morith. They can tell other species. The entire basis of the council's unity could crumble. Far from Earth, Eric Collins sat in a secure room with military and political leaders. On the screens around them were images of the alien treaty and technical data. The 5th offering gives us access to more technology, Collins explained. But they still demand final authority over our military actions. It is not acceptable, a general said firmly. Let's strike back again, Collins said. But I have to wonder, why are they so desperate for us to sign? What are they not telling us? In space, silent and without warning, a council battle group began moving toward Earth's solar system. Agent Jexiner adjusted his human disguise as he walked through the busy streets of Washington. His skin itchy where the synthetic covering met his natural skin, but the discomfort was worth it. No one gave him a second look. To them, he was just John Smith, a tourist taking photos of famous buildings. The council sent 12 agents to Earth. Their mission was simple: understand why humans refuse to integrate. Jexiner was assigned to observe Karen Wilson, Earth's national security advisor. He stopped outside a large white building, pretending to check his map as his enhanced hearing focused on a conference room 2 floors above. Inside that room, Karen Wilson stood in front of 6 screens, showing the faces of world leaders. Her red hair was pulled back and dark circles under her eyes showed her lack of sleep. The aliens are hiding something, Wilson said, pointing to charts on the wall. Each treaty they offer gives us more technology, but still requires us to follow their authority. Why? Maybe they simply want order, one leader suggested. Wilson shook his head. No, you should see how shocked they are when we negotiate. It's like they never found the concept. Another leader spoke. My scientists say their technology is incredible but strangely uniform. 32 species should have more diverse approaches. Exactly. Wilson slapped the table. It's as if everyone thinks the same way. This is not natural. Different species should have different perspectives, just as different human cultures do. Jexener found this exchange fascinating. In the council space, uniformity was valued. Divergent thinking was seen as disruptive. Yet here was Wilson, proudly pointing out the differences, even encouraging them. The meeting continued, voices being raised about what the council species would consider an alarming disorder. The leaders interrupted each other. They openly disagreed. Some even changed their minds after hearing new information. The shocking thing for Jexener, Wilson often said, is that I could be wrong, but a phrase no council employee would ever utter. Admitting a potential error was unthinkable. Later that day, Jexener followed Wilson in even a small restaurant. She sat alone, reviewing documents while eating. He sat at a nearby table and ordered a burger to maintain his cover. Wilson's phone rang. Her face became serious as she listened. Are you sure? She asked. So don't approach them. Yes, all 12. We've known for days. She ended the call and looked directly at Jexener. Their eyes met. She smiled and walked over to his table. Do you mind if I join you, John Smith? Or would you prefer Jexener? Their hearts raced in panic. How did they discover it? His disguise was perfect. Wilson sat down. We detected their ships entering our atmosphere. Your technology is good, but you underestimate us. Jexener considered his escape options, but Wilson raised his hand. We will not harm you. Actually, I have a proposal. Instead of spying on us, why not openly observe? You want to understand us. We want to understand you. This was not in any council protocol. Jexener was to refuse, return to his ship, and report the failure. Instead, he asked himself, why would you allow this? Wilson shrugged, because that's what humans do. We learn from each other. We grow through exchange, and I bet your board doesn't know as much about us as they think they do. 2 days later, Jexener was undisguised in the same meeting room he had spied on. Earlier, the world leaders on screen looked at him with curiosity rather than fear. Please explain again, Wilson said. The council requires that all member species accept the same basic governmental structure. Yes, Jexener confirmed. Ensures harmony. A leader frowned, but different species have different needs and values. The council believes uniformity prevents conflict, Jexener explained. Wilson exchanged glances with the others. And there is our answer. They don't just want allies. They want copies. Jexener transmitted his report that night. He included everything he had observed about human individualism and his strange comfort with disagreement. He knew this would cause even more panic in the council. What he didn't report was how fascinating he found it all. How watching humans interact made him question ideas he had never thought to question before. And how, for the first time in his life, he wondered if the advice might be wrong. Admiral Richard Rick Daniels stood before the Earth Orbital Defense Platform screen. The stars shone against the darkness of space, peaceful and silent. But Daniels knew better. Somewhere out there, alien ships were moving towards Earth. Show me the updated status of the fleet, he ordered. A young officer brought in a holographic display showing Earth's defensive forces. The blue dots represented ships that had already been modified with reverse engineering technology from the Council's treaty appendices. The red dots showed ships still awaiting updates. We're at 60% completion, sir, the officer reported. The new shield systems are working better than expected. Daniels nodded. In the 3 months since first contact, Earth has made remarkable progress. What could have taken decades of investigation was accomplished in weeks, not because the Council had willingly shared the technology, but because human scientists had gleaned clues from the technical data included in the treaty documents. What is the status of the Council battle group? Daniels asked. Another screen lit up, showing 12 large ships moving slowly but steadily towards the solar system. Still on approach, sir. At their current speed, they will reach Jupiter's orbit in 9 days. Daniels frowned. The Council claimed it was a diplomatic escort to the next round of negotiations. Nobody on Earth believed that. Meanwhile, in a laboratory beneath the Rocky Mountains, scientists Amy Russell and Paul Jenkins worked on Earth's newest defensive technology. Try again, Russell said. adjusting the settings on his control panel. Jenkins activated the device. A glowing field appeared around a test drone. He checked his monitors and smiled. It's working. The shield is reflecting 97% of the scans. They won't be able to see what we're doing inside the barrier. Russell allowed himself a small smile. Next, let's test it against your weapon frequencies. The door opened, and Sofia Gomez entered carrying a tablet. She was neither a military officer nor a government scientist, but a civil engineer who made a discovery by observing alien physics from a completely different angle. I think I've solved the propulsion problem, she announced, showing them her calculations. The advice's approach assumes that space-time works in one direction, but what if we approach it in the opposite direction? Russell and Jenkins studied his work. It was unconventional, even bizarre by traditional physics standards, but the math was right. That could work, Jenkins said, surprised. It's completely different to how the Council does it, but it could actually be more efficient. When can we build a prototype? Russell asked. Gomez smiled. I've already started. Give me 3 days. In orbit above Earth, a small, unmarked craft built its new engines. It was a test vehicle for Earth's latest advances. Inside, a crew prepared to demonstrate their capabilities where approaching Council ships could detect them. The ship moved forward, accelerating to speeds no human vessel had ever achieved before. He circled the moon within minutes, and then stopped completely, hovering as his new shields activated, blocking all incoming scans. Across the void of space, on the Council's lead ship, General Dravkos watched the demonstration with growing alarm. Did you see that acceleration curve? He demanded of his science officer. This is not possible. They could not have developed this technology so quickly. It is not in our records, the scientific officer confirmed. It appears to be an entirely new approach to propulsion. Dravkos banged his fist on the console. They are adapting very quickly. We must act before they become too powerful. He opened a communication channel with Nexus Prime. When High Counselor Zixbar appeared, Dravkos didn't bother with the formalities. Humans are developing technologies we have never seen before. They are testing it openly, making sure we can see it. It's a warning. Zixbar's 4 arms moved in patterns of anguish. The 5th treatise was prepared. We are offering them knowledge that we have never shared with any species at this stage. It won't be enough, Dravkos warned. They don't want our knowledge. They want freedom from our control. And at this rate, soon they won't need us anymore. In Washington, D.C., Karen Wilson received news of the Council's 5th treaty proposal as she read it. His eyebrows rose in surprise. They are offering us almost everything we asked for, she told Eric Collins. Almost everything except real independence. Collins nodded, which means it's still not enough. UN Secretary Michelle Bennett had never seen anything like Nexus Prime. The world capital of the Galactic Council was a planet-sized city, with towers that reached the clouds and underground levels that reached kilometers deep. Ships of all shapes and sizes transited designated airlines, carrying representatives of 32 different species. Bennett led the Earth delegation through the enormous council hall. 6 diplomats followed her, along with 2 scientists and a military advisor. They were given housing in the diplomatic wing, but Bennett felt they were being watched at all times. Remember, she calmly told the team, we are here to negotiate, not accept whatever they offer. A tall, slender alien with pale skin and bright patterns waited for them at the entrance to a garden area. This was Eleanor's Professor Tavlin, the oldest species on the council. Secretary Bennett, Tavlin greeted her with a slight bow. I thought you might like to spend some time in a more natural setting before formal conversations begin. Bennett nodded. Thank you, teacher. A garden looks wonderful. As they walked among strange but beautiful plants, Tavlin asked questions about Earth. Unlike other council representatives, he seemed genuinely curious, and not just gathering information. Your species has so many different governments, religions, and cultures, he noted. How do you function without a unified system? Bennett smiled. We don't always work well. We argue, we debate, sometimes we even fight. But this diversity gives us strength. Different perspectives lead to new ideas. Tavlin's eyes widened. This concept of commitment. It's not common in the board space. Here the correct path is determined and everything followed. And who decides what is correct? Bennett asked. Tavlin was silent for a moment. It's always been this way, he finally said. Later that day, Bennett presented Tara's counterproposal to the full council. The massive chamber fell silent as his words were translated for all species. Earth proposes a new type of relationship, she announced. Not integration, but alliance. We will share technology, trade resources, and stand together against common threats. But the Earth will maintain its independence. The chamber erupted in murmurs and exclamations. The High Counselor, Zixpar, raised his 4 arms for silence. What you propose has never been done, said Zixpar. The board structure does not allow for partial membership. So maybe the structure needs to change, Bennett suggested. This caused even more commotion. Some representatives looked indignant, while others looked thoughtful. The council was clearly divided. Meanwhile, far from Mexus Prime, the big picture Rodriguez was leading a small team in a stealth ship. Earth's leaders sent them on a secret mission, while the official delegation kept the council distracted. We are approaching the coordinates, your pilot reported. Rodriguez checked his equipment. Intelligence from friendly contacts at the council led them to this remote location. A hidden file that may contain the truth about why the council was so determined to integrate Earth. Start scanning, he ordered. Hours later, Rodriguez looked at the data they had recovered. It was worse than they imagined. The files revealed the council's biggest secret. They were hiding from something. An ancient enemy nearly destroyed the galaxy 12,000 years ago. The founding species created the council and its integration system, not just for unity, but for protection. The psychic conformity embodied in integration was not just for harmony. It was to prevent any species from attracting the attention of this enemy, who was somehow attracted to independent thinking and creativity. My God, Rodriguez whispered. They're not just afraid of us being different. They fear we will bring this enemy back. On Nexus Prime, Bennett met with a mysterious figure, a representative of the founding species who rarely appeared in public. The form of the ancient alien was hidden in floating bombs. You must understand, said the figure in a whispering voice, the integration it doesn't protect everyone. Uniformity is security. Bennett leaned forward. But what if there is another way? What if diversity, properly channeled, could be stronger than uniformity? The ancient alien trembled slightly. Impossible. The enemy finds those who stand out. Or Bennett suggested, perhaps the enemy encounters those who suppress their true nature. Tell me about this enemy. Tell me the whole truth. The Earth Security Council meeting room fell silent as the 30 world leaders read the Galactic Council's 6th treaty proposal. It offered almost everything Earth had asked for: advanced technology, protection, business rights, and a seat at the board table. But one requirement remained unchanged. Earth must accept the Council's final authority in all interstellar matters. They are desperate, said Karen Wilson, breaking the silence. This is the most generous offer yet, but they still haven't budged on the core issue. President Dan Harris looked around the table. The vote must be unanimous, all in favor of accepting this treaty. Not a single hand raised. Everyone objected, all hands went up. So it's decided. Harris said, we respectfully decline your 6th treaty. On Nexus Prime, the council chamber descended into chaos when Earth's response arrived. General Dravkos of the Vargon military faction stood up from his seat. Enough, he roared. These humans mock us with every refusal. They build weapons while pretending to negotiate. We must attack now, before they get stronger. Many representatives shouted their agreement. Fear has turned to anger for many species. In a quiet corner of the chamber, junior diplomat Krillteeth watched with growing concern. He spent weeks studying human history and culture. Their refusal was not a mockery, it was their nature. They valued freedom above all else. Krillteeth caught Professor Tavlin's eye from across the room. Elderly Eleanor looked troubled. He motioned for Krillteeth to follow him out of the chamber. There's something you should know, Tavlin said once they were alone. There is an ancient prophecy, recorded by the founding species. Talk about a frog that would break the integration chain. What happens in this prophecy? Krillteeth asked. 2 possibilities, Tavlin replied. This race destroys the galaxy or transforms it forever. The Council has always feared the first outcome. But what if the second is possible? Meanwhile, Michelle Bennett met privately with representatives of 7 species on the Council who expressed interest in Earth's perspective. Unlike formal Council sessions, this meeting was relaxed with open discussion. Our history is full of examples where diversity led to strength. Bennett explained, different approaches solve problems that a single approach cannot. A representative of a crystalline species spoke. My people have always had private thoughts that did not align perfectly with the harmony of the council. We thought we were flawed. You have no flaws. Bennett assured them. You are individuals. This is something to celebrate, not suppress. On Earth, civilian industries cooperated with military research at an unprecedented rate. New ships were being built with hybrid technologies, part board science, part human innovation. Engineers from different countries shared ideas freely, competing not with each other, but against time. In orbit around Mars, Commander Nicole Peterson received urgent orders. She read them twice to be sure. Begin immediate evacuation of all off-Earth colonies, she told her officers. Priority for civilians, especially children and medical personnel. Are you starting? His second-in-command asked quietly. Peterson nodded grimly. Intelligence reports that military ships' council tasks change direction. They are no longer slowly approaching. They are coming fast. Across the solar system, ships began transporting people back to Earth. Military ships took up defensive positions. The first true interstellar war in 12,000 years was about to begin. Near Saturn, a small research ship called Discovery monitored the gas giant's rings. Its crew of 12 scientists was far from any military installation. The ship's captain, Susan Patel, noticed strange readings on her sensors. Are we detecting an approaching ship? Your science officer checked the equipment. Yes, but it's not one of ours. It's a city ship, Captain, moving very fast. Patel opened a channel of communication. Council ship, this is the Earth ship Discovery. We are a civilian research. She never finished the sentence. The city ship fired, destroying Discovery instantly. The nervous council captain informed General Drafkos that the human weapons platform was destroyed. Weapons platform? Drafkos questioned. Our scans showed unusual energy readings. Yes, General, your new shield technology made it difficult to determine its exact nature, but the ship was clearly in a strategic position. What the captain didn't know, and what Drafkos would soon discover, to his horror, was that the weapons platform was nothing more than a scientific vessel. The unusual energy readings came from experimental sensors studying Saturn's magnetic field. The first shots were fired, based on a mistake. There was no turning back now. The first battle between human and council forces took place near Jupiter. The Earth ships fought bravely, but were outnumbered. They managed to destroy 3 council ships before being forced to retreat towards Mars. On Earth, military leaders prepared for the worst, but something unexpected happened. A new signal has appeared on deep space scanners. Then another, then dozens of others. What are we looking at? Admiral Daniels asked his sensor officer. Ships unknown, sir, replied the officer. It's not ours, nor is it the Council's project. They are everywhere, appearing at the edges of the solar system. On the main Council warship, General Drafkos received similar reports. His tactical officer's complexion turned pale with fear. Sir, we are detecting multiple unknown ships. They do not match any known configuration. Show me, Drafkos ordered. The screen displayed strange ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved in patterns that made no sense, sometimes appearing to be in 2 places at once. Drafkos felt cold dread wash over him. No, he whispered, it can't be. But it was. The ancient enemy the Council feared 12,000 years ago had returned. The Heralds of the Void found them. The Void Herald ships ignored the land ships and focused their attacks on the Council fleet. Strange beams of energy shot through the Council's shields as if they weren't there. Captain Patricia Murphy commanded the Earth ship to find. She watched in horror as a Council civilian. Transport carrying refugees from their nearby outpost was targeted by 3 Herald ships. These are civilians, she said. Helm moved to intercept. Weapons prepared to face those Herald ships. His second-in-command looked shocked. Captain, the Council members just attacked us. Murphy's eyes lit up. They are still people. And we protect people. Move now. The Challenger advanced, placing himself between the transport ships and the Heralds. Their new shields, designed by human engineers, flickered as they absorbed the strange beams of energy. Return fire, Murphy ordered. The weapons of the Challenger hit one of the Herald ships. To everyone's surprise, the shields held up. The enemy vessel retreated slightly. On Earth, Dr. Alan Lewis was analyzing data from the battle when he noticed something strange. The Herald ships first targeted the Council ships with psychic dampening technology. They are attracted to psychic conformity, he realized. The same energy the Council uses to keep species compatible is like a beacon for these creatures. When this information reached the front lines, Earth ships began transmitting on frequencies that disrupted the Council's psychic field. Council ships in these areas reported fewer Herald attacks. On Nexus Prime, junior diplomat Krilteth made a desperate decision. With the help of Professor Tavlin and a small group of Council members who met with Michelle Bennett, he smuggled key Council representatives onto a private ship. "What you are doing is treason," said one of the Council members as they fled towards Earth. "What I'm doing could save us all," Krilteth replied. "Humans know something we don't. They fight differently. And right now, our method isn't working." The small ship narrowly escaped when Void Herald ships appeared near Nexus Prime. The former enemy has found the heart of the Council. When Krilteth's ship arrived on Earth, they were surprised to be greeted. Within hours, they were meeting with Earth's leaders, explaining everything they knew about the Void Heralds. "They feed on psychic energy." High Counselor Zixbar admitted it. "The more uniform the thoughts, the stronger the signal. Our integration system, designed to prevent their return, actually makes it easier for us to find them. So we need the opposite approach suggested by Bennett. Instead of forcing everyone to think the same way, we need diversity, unpredictable patterns, creativity." "Impossible," said Zixbar. "Species cannot coordinate without uniformity." Admiral Daniels smiled grimly. "Watch us." Within hours, Earth and Council representatives were drafting a new treaty, not one of integration or even of alliance, but of mutual defense against an existential threat. They worked with a speed the board had never known, making decisions in minutes instead of months. "Will this work?" Krilteth asked Bennett as they watched Earth prepare for battle. Bennett observed the strange mix of human and alien officers working together, each bringing different perspectives to the fight. "I don't know," she admitted, "but we'll find out together." A week after the arrival of the Void Heralds, the combined forces of Earth and Council prepared for a final stand. The enemy pushed them back into Earth orbit, destroying countless ships along the way. In a large command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, human and alien officers worked side by side. Matt showed Herald ships surrounding the Earth in an ever-tightening circle. Conventional tactics are not working. Admiral Daniels told the assembled leaders, "We need something they don't expect." Dr. Alan Lewis stepped forward. His team had been studying the Heralds nonstop. "We confirmed that Heralds are attracted to psychic uniformity," he explained. "For 12,000 years, the Council trained all species to think the same way. It made you efficient, but it also made you a target." And the humans asked High Counselor Zixbar. "We are naturally resilient," Lewis said. "Our minds are too chaotic and individualistic to be easily fixated. And we noticed something else. Council species that have worked closely with humans are also becoming more resistant." Professor Tavlin nodded. "I have experienced this. My thought patterns became less predictable and more creative." Sofia Gomez, who continued to develop new technologies throughout the crisis, brought a simulation to the main screen. "We need not destroy the Heralds," she said. "We need to disrupt the signal they're following. If we convey a psychic pattern that emphasizes individuality rather than conformity, this may drive them away." "How could we do this?" Zixbar asked. Karen Wilson smiled. "The same way humans have always shared ideas. We talk to each other. We share stories. We connect." The plan they created was unlike any military strategy in the Council's history. Instead of a coordinated attack, each ship would act independently, following general objectives but making their own decisions about how to achieve them. Earth ships would be paired with Council ships, with their crews mixed together to spread human influence as widely as possible. When the battle began, the Voidbringers expected to face the same uniform tactics that the Council had used for millennia. Instead, they faced chaos. Earth ships fired in unpredictable patterns. The Council vessels, now manned by both species, began to show a similar unpredictability. The defiant Captain Murphy led a small group of ships directly toward the larger Herald ship, but instead of attacking, they activated a special device developed by Gomez and Lewis, a psychic transmitter that amplified human thought patterns. When the device was activated, something remarkable happened. Council crew members who spent weeks working closely with humans discovered that their natural thought patterns broke free from years of conditioning. Each individual's unique perspective emerged, creating a psychic tapestry so complex and varied that the heralds were unable to pin it down. The effects spread from ship to ship. The heralds' movements became erratic and confused. Then, one by one, they began to retreat. 3 days later, the last herald ship disappeared from the solar system. Reports from across the board space confirmed the same pattern. Whenever diversity replaced uniformity, the enemy retreated. A month after this, Captain William Grant was in the same conference room where he had first refused the Council's treaty. This time he was accompanied by High Counselor Zixpar, but the relationship was very different. "The new model is ready," Grant said, showing Zixpar a document on the table. "We call it the Galactic Alliance Treaty. Emphasizes cooperation without demanding conformity." Zixpar examined him with all 4 eyes. "A remarkable concept. Future species will have choices we have never been offered before." "And the advice?" Grant asked. "Has changed forever," replied Zixpar. "Many species are rediscovering their unique cultures and perspectives. It's chaotic, sometimes difficult, but also exciting." In Nexus Prime, the Council Chamber has been redesigned. Instead of formal rows before a central authority, the space now featured conversation circles where representatives could interact as equals. The chamber was buzzing with debates, occasional discussions, and something new in the council space: laughter. Junior diplomat Kriltef, now Earth's official liaison to the council, watched with satisfaction. The prophecy truly came true. Humanity broke the integration chain, but did not destroy the galaxy. They transformed him. Across council space, species that had suppressed their individuality for millennia were rediscovering their unique perspectives. Meanwhile, the humans learned from the council's cooperation. Neither approach was perfect alone, but together they created something new and powerful. The heralds of the void never returned. Maybe someday they would try again, but when they did, they would face not a uniform defense, but a galaxy.